I saw him at one convention when he had, after the surgery and couldn't communicate, had his wife with him. And my heart really, the one thing out of anything, and I'm sure he thought this way, or people around him, the one thing, it's like what we do. If my voice goes or your voice goes, or we don't have the ability to verbally communicate, we're out of a job. Bobby's biggest strength and the thing that could keep him from ever aging out of the business, autographs, interviews, podcasts, could do it till the day he's gone. That was taken from him. And that had to be such a torturous thing to do that. I mean, not just the visual of it, but the poor guy, the one thing that like drew money for him, for the companies who worked at, is taken away from him. That's got to be, we all take for granted. At one point I didn't, because I couldn't speak for 3 months. So I got a little taste of what Bobby Heenan had to deal with day in and day out. And it's a sin. It's just awful.
Yeah, from what I understand, I've read his books, other people talking about him, he was just an amazing guy in real life as well. And he was like, I guess, we were talking earlier in this episode about Douglas Mallow, someone who actually wants the best for people and actually stands upon business kind of thing, and that was Bobby Heenan, I guess, as well. The reason why I'm bringing up Damien 666 with Bobby Heenan is because he was commentating your quote-unquote match with Damien 666, and apparently he was a huge fan of it, and, it came across on television as well. So, for those who don't know, the Patreon listeners or viewers will know, because they saw the entire match segment as well, and, explain more there. But for the non-Patreon types, explain the Damien match, explain Bobby Heenan's impact and the whole bit.
All right, so we were trying to do something creative. You can call it good, bad, or indifferent. But instead of having a match where we just run around, do spots, do whatever, which I was actually looking forward to challenging myself to see if I can work even part of the match in a lucha libre style. I just wanted to see if I could do it. But Raven and I, mostly Raven, but then I came up with certain things out there in the ring, kind of ad-libbing. You could hear Raven yelling at me. As a matter of fact, remember? I kind of went off on my own and did my own thing. We came up with something, mostly Raven, that Raven's in the crowd, but he's not like in the front row like the Savage match. He's in the aisleway. Damien comes down. I go to the ring first. Damien comes down, starts slapping hands, sees Raven, goes like this to kind of say, oh, look out for that guy. Damien goes towards the ring. Raven comes over the railing, turns around, and plants him with a DDT, half on the mat, half on the floor. But he spiked him. It was a pretty rough DDT. I'm in the ring talking to Mickey J with my back turned to what happened. Raven rolls Damien into the ring behind me. Mickey J, playing along with it, has not rang the bell until he turns around, rings the bell, and we both, you can't even plan this, both look down, look up at each other in synchronicity and say, what happened? And Raven's just standing there stoically on the outside. Tony, Bobby, they're commentating, and basically what happens next is where the match actually starts, but it's not a match. I go down, I'm like, what happened? And I start listening for a heartbeat. And Tony Schiavone even says, Stevie is listening for a heartbeat. and Bobby's kind of laying out on this, and then Tony's calling me a lame brain, an idiot, whatever. So then what proceeds to happen here is, after listening for a heartbeat, I do the only thing I know how to do as a clueless putz in the professional wrestling world. I start performing CPR on Damien. And it gets worse. This is where I ad-libbed it, because Raven's getting up on the apron. Richards, get up here, trying to and I wasn't supposed to do this, and I didn't tell you this. I did the CPR, and then Damien's laying there selling, and I do mouth to mouth. And yes, I put my lips on Damien's lips. Mm-hmm. It wasn't this.
That's dedication to a craft, man.
Immediately afterwards, I'm like, Damian is going to beat me up. Raven is going to beat me up because he yelled, Richards! Very out of character, right? The stoic Raven. I get up and I go, he's hurt. He's hurt. To which Raven takes great pleasure in slapping me as hard as he can on my temple, which in reality could have killed me. I mean, he palm slapped me like this part. It knocked me out. I saw stars. I covered Damian. 1, 2, 3. Start jumping down, up and down. Aha, aha, aha. And then the line of the night, the line of my entire fabulous 4-month run in WCW. Bobby Heenan. Doesn't need to say much of anything except this. What a great match. Aha.
Did you speak to Bobby afterwards? Because
I thanked him. I said, because I thanked him next week because obviously we didn't see it, but the replay used to play most of the time afterwards from 11 to whatever. And I did watch it back in the hotel room. And then the next week I hugged Bobby and said, thank you so much. And he was like, for what? I was like, you had the line of the night. You said, what a great match. He goes, it was a great match. He was like, you performed CPR mouth to mouth. He goes, that's what this is all about, right? Entertainment. I was like, wow. So I like hugged him again, walked away. And that's why, selfishly as a mark, he makes a B. I'd put him in an A, but that's for the people I've known and become friends with.
So you didn't include the commentators in beforehand?
No, not at all. And they did an exceptional job. And they appreciate, I think commentators, like what we do here for reactions, especially botch watches, I think a lot of times the commentators, the real reaction is fun to them. Like if you're just sitting there with notes going, oh, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I mean, you need a blueprint. But don't you agree? The initial reaction, like even Michael Cole, when he says, holy ass, when Brock Lesnar returns because he wasn't clued in. I like that.
Is Bobby Heenan, I think we can agree, he's the greatest manager of all time. Is he the greatest colour commentator of all time?
I'd have to say he's the pioneer of what a color commentator should be. You kind of show your butt a little bit. You're always like the comedy relief for the play-by-play guy, or you get things wrong, or you talk yourself into like disagreeing with yourself. And then my favorite Bobby Heenan here is, remember Bobby used to be, I think it was Bobby or it must have been maybe Jesse, when the heel would cheat and then Vince or Gorilla would point it out and be like, oh, my monitor was out there for a second. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Mm-hmm. He'd always have some lame brain excuse, pun intended, to do that. Greatest, man, Jesse's right up there. I have to say, he and Jesse are a tie for first, and then right behind him as a close second would be Lawler. Now that's about it.